We're now live, and I am very, very excited and honoured to be in the presence of a president today. So I'm delighted to be joined by Liana Loporto of Liana Loporto Properties, powered by EXP, and also president of the NAEA Propertymark. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. We've only really recently got to know each other over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And what I love about you is your passion and your energy and all the difference you want to make to a state agency. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm so excited to have you on here this afternoon to discuss all things Propertymark, your journey, and lessons that you can share with our audience watching. So afternoon, Angela. How's Fife today? Hope the sun is shining in Scotland. So please share it with all your colleagues, and thanks for joining us. So Liana, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey. Congratulations, first year anniversary as well, running your own business, which is really, really exciting. But let's start from the beginning. So
very beginning. But going back, Stephen, they say that everybody has a superpower, and somebody said this to me the other day. Well, think about a year ago, and I had to think, everybody has a superpower. What is my superpower? And I think we share a superpower, Stephen, because mine's positivity, and I just try and lead every day being positive and trying to look at a positive outcome. And my grandmother turned 100 a few weeks ago, and the priest asked her, so her children, what is special about your mother? And she said she never had something bad to say about anyone, and she could always see the best in a situation. So that's how I try and live my life anyway. What got me into agency? So I didn't want to be an agent like everybody, I didn't. And this is something which I'm really passionate about, and I'm desperate to change. But I fell into it, and I wanted to be a ballerina. So I trained for 5-6 hours a day, went to school, trained really hard. And, you get a lot of discipline doing ballet, tap, Spanish, more than everything. Then I got an injury. And I couldn't do that professionally. I had got a scholarship to come to London to dance, and I just couldn't take it up. And that was devastating. So I went, it was a bit of a whirlwind, as everybody does when they're trying to find what they want to do and they can't do what they desperately wanted to do. And I started in animation. So, the GOs that do the shows on the stage and doing the morning stretches. Then got a catering job, waking up at 6 a.m. and doing, we have a typical dish, which is pasticci. And I used to get them all ready, get the staff, do the stock, which was a pretty good job for that. But it really gives you discipline, because you need to be up early and you need to just work pretty hard. And then I decided to start my own agency, which is vouchers, which is what Voucher is today, which is those, a magazine. But I did it with a partner. And anyway, realized, what can I do? My mom was an interior designer. She used to drag me to all sorts of places that were dilapidated, and spend hours waiting in antique shops. And I'm just seeing her turn these properties into incredible like homes, hotels. And that's where I said, why not try property? I sell advertising. That's hard enough. Why not sell property? And at 19, I started off back in Malta, and I used to do everything from, we didn't have boards, we had stickers. So I used to hang out a window and try and get these stickers, to making cups of tea, and worked my way up to running my own branch there, which was in the capital city, which at the time hadn't exploded yet, but it was about to. And then we joined the EU, and I thought, I lost my mum, unfortunately, and there was a pivotal time where I was just looking for myself, and decided to come to the most vibrant property market in the world, moved to London. And London, as you can, from having this incredible career, being really proud of what I did, I was given a branded Mini. And I used to say, I'm an estate agent. And I had to start from the beginning, Stephen. And it's funny because before coming on, I had to really think back. And when I got that Mini, and I remember driving away and stopping at Shepherd's Bush, I hadn't driven on the motorway. And, I wasn't young. I think I moved over when I was 26, 27. So it wasn't, And I remember just stopping there and going, oh, what am I doing? And, just having to put on the TomTom at the time and find viewings with people, and had no idea where I was going. So had to start it all. And anyway, worked at that company, at the corporate company. I don't know whether we're mentioning names.
You can mention Foxtons. It's absolutely fine.
Foxtons was my stepping stone, but it was also a fantastic place for me. It gave me a really great fast track learning of what the property market was and everything I needed to do. And I was the one that was there on Sundays. And I was the one that, if everybody wanted to nip off at the pub early, I'd stay late. I was the really annoying one that had something to prove. So worked, at the beginning, everybody looked at me like, well, who's this? They put me in an office in St. John's Wood, which was brilliant. But soon enough, I did really well, and I loved my experience there.
Fantastic. I've got so many questions, but I'm going to let you talk about London residential and setting up on your own first, and then we'll come back and unpack what you've been saying.
Right. So then 2008 hit, and there were a couple of promotions within my company, within the branch, which I was in rare. I was doing pretty well, and I didn't get my valuer's position. So I assessed my life in kind of 10-year goals, and I said, I need to progress. I've been in this role for, I think it was close to 3 years. And it was time to find something where I could step up to the next step in life and do the valuing. I know I love valuing property. I love it. That's my passion. I like to go sit on the sofa, have a cup of tea, and I don't rush through it. I have all the time in the world to do valuations, and I just really enjoy it. Anyway, so I moved. I had this opportunity with London Residential, which was sales manager. And I went and interviewed for that and got it. And it was such a learning experience, because I moved from being a neg, essentially. I had run my own office back in Malta, but to a startup. And nobody prepares you to a startup and everything that it entails. So it's making those big decisions on a daily basis. And I came in with the Foxtons mentality, which was, we are worth 2%. And I remember the first time we got our £1 million property on it was St. Albert's Road. It's because it was kind of on that verge of my path. I remember them saying, wow, we can get 2%. Wow, we can get to the 1 million mark. So with London Residential, I looked after the sales department there, and then it went into operations, and then it was building, and then it was a learning curve of just building that office, and now it's really established, and I think it's one of the most established agents in Camden. And then I lockdown again, as I told you, I reassess my life, and lockdown came, and there were a few things which happened, and I just thought, wow, the next 10 years are really important, because I've worked really hard. I've had my kids and managed to work and juggle just about. And now the next 10 years are, this is my retirement. This is what's going to really matter. And this opportunity to start my own business powered by EXP. It's low costs, and it's ticked every box in the way that I was able to provide the service I want to. I don't have anybody that can tell me how to do it. I'm able to be creative with it. and I don't have to be conditioned by targets, and it's not about the sale, it's about the journey, and that's so important to me. And I'm loving it. And then at the same time, I put my hat in the ring to become president of Propertymark. And I'll just step back slightly because, you wanted me to go through this, but when I moved from Malta to London, just the perception of who you are as an estate agent, it was really difficult because I had a great career. I had sold one of the most prestigious properties in Malta, which allowed me to buy my car. It allowed me to buy a flat. I had my own, at 23, I started investing. I got a second property, a buy-to-let property in Malta. So this career is just incredible. And then I came here and I had a brick. It was when they had that program, the Foxtons program.
Chop, chop.
I had a brick thrown through my car window, and I thought, wow, what's this? How can I? And that led me to Propertymark. So that's where my journey started with Propertymark. I said, I'm changing the perception of agents. I want to change. There are really good agents out there. I'm going to Propertymark, starting my qualifications, being a regional executive. I met agents like me who are in it to do it right. They're not in it to just make the sale. They're in it to raise the bar in our industry. They're in it to help people. They're in it to give really good advice. And that is my journey. And then I started my qualifications. I think that it's one of the pieces of the puzzle that will change and hopefully inspire people to come into property and say, right, look what she's done. She's got a family. She's a president. And she started from scratch a few times. And why can't I do it? And she's got a really good life, because I think I love my life, and I think I appreciate everything I've done, and I think that's really important too.
Brilliant! Wow. Well, you inspire me. So every time I speak to you, I love your passion, I love your energy, and I love what you've done. And to set it out, I mean, there's so many things that we can chat about, which I will do and I come to. But I just want to rewind to the beginning, because I think one of the first lessons you talked about was discipline. And whether it's being a ballerina, whether it's being in catering and getting up early, whether it's the structure that you had at Foxtons, you have to be incredibly disciplined. So what advice would you give to, anybody either starting or actually, whether they're a negotiator, lister, because it doesn't matter wherever you are, whatever position you are, discipline is incredibly important. So how do you become disciplined? How do you become consistent?
Consistency is really hard, and that's the key, isn't it? I think it's learned behavior. My parents were very hardworking. My dad, I don't remember my dad taking a day off, which isn't great. And now I look back at it and I say, you need your time off. And for me, holidays are important. So I work really, really hard, but then I have my off time. So I learned that from my parents. But I think it's just about just pushing yourself and not seeing it as doing it forever. As I said, I have kind of short term. So I say I work really, really hard and then give myself little treats. So it's not I've been to courses and been writing my goals, but I'm one to get a bit bored of that. So I just set myself something and then I achieve it. And I think that's a way of disciplining yourself. And you don't have to do it, I think just think there are times in your life when you can work really hard, and there are times in your life when you have to work in different ways. So just focus on, you can't be good at everything. So just focus on a couple of things that you're really good at, set your goal, get there, treat yourself, and then set your next one. That's probably what I'd say.
Perfect. So what do you treat yourself with then? What's your treats?
For my treats?
Yeah.
Generally it's generally it's a holiday, generally it's some time off or a spa day or things like that, but it's just something that's going, or in my younger days it was a bag, but now I have no interest in that anymore. It's not important to me, like that materialistic side. It used to be like a nice belt or a nice pair of shoes. It used to be little things, but you'd get there, you'd get it, and you'd feel good about yourself. So it's just about giving yourself that goal.
Okay, so I like what you say about having those short-term goals, short-term challenges, but also it's very important when you get them, do reward yourself, because actually you've done something. But also want to come back to something you said about you're a big fan of having 10-year goals, and when you realised at Foxtons that you've been there for 3 years and you weren't going to get a position that you wanted. Again, for people watching it, and I know a lot of companies that have these Everest goals, where do we want to be in 5 years? And then they come back and look, right, so what do we need to do to get there? Again, what do you learn from having goals and setting goals, and how has that helped you? Because you seem pretty, for me, discipline and goals actually go together.
So look, when I look back now I could have probably dealt with that differently, because I think Foxtons has offered quite a few people a really long career and a really good career. So I probably could have been more direct with my conversations. I probably could have asked for it a bit more, but instead of doing that, I left. I didn't go up to the top and say, right, do you know what? This is, instead of that, I just left. And I think with setting your 10-year goals, you really need to, like I had, with my apartment, I knew I wanted to be a homeowner. I knew I needed to be on the property ladder. So I was going to do anything I could do to get there. And if it involved working the Sundays, as terrible as they were, as hard as it was to work 9 to 4 on a Sunday, I mean, if you can get through that, you can get through everything, right? I think it's about really having those steps, and then once you start, you just get those little wins and those successes, and they motivate you even more. And then it kind of starts happening naturally. And surrounding yourself by, again, something that I'd look back on and I would like to share to help people. There are some people that really drain you, and there are some people that, no matter how positive you are, they hold you back. And you need to make sure to surround yourself with people that are going to appreciate you, that are going to allow you to grow within yourself and your role. And if that isn't going to happen, and I suppose that's changing your environment, and it could have happened, but at that time it wasn't happening at Foxtons. When I moved on, I'm really loyal as a person, but when I see that my environment is not going to, is bringing me down rather than lifting me up, then you've got to change that.
Surround yourself.
I went off track. Sorry, my mind was ticking.
Right. Surround yourself with radiators and fountains, not by drains.
But you don't even recognize those, do you? It's very hard when you're at a set. I don't think I recognize them at a younger age. Now, straight away. But in the past, I didn't recognize that they were drains. So it's really trying to see that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. So a fan of a show, Mr. Neil Giller, talks about drains and radiators, and you want to surround yourself with radiators. You want to surround yourself with people that are going to help you flourish. You mentioned about, the first thing you mentioned about was positivity, and you want to have positive outcomes, and straight away that's what you're thinking about, being positive. How are you going to make the best of every single day, of every single moment, and being in the present and taking every opportunity as it comes, which is a fantastic attitude. So where do you get all your passion from, and your hunger and your desire? Were you born with it, or you've just literally
as I said, I think you're born with it. I think you learn it. I think it's the course in your life. I think my mother's half Italian. I was born in Ecuador. my, you know, I was brought up in Malta. I'm a real mix. I'm a proper Londoner, I say. I tell people I'm a proper Londoner, Stephen, because I got and I think just you know, life and what it throws at you. I've had, you know, we had everything, and then my mum got ill, and she had you know, she passed away from cancer, and that was from having everything to then having nothing. My dad had a really tough time. We lost everything, and the journey, as hard as it was, it just makes you. It just makes you more resilient, and you just, you know, try and make the best of a really bad situation, or you let it beat you. And I think that was part of why I was so hungry. And you know, again, with the working and with the how the hours and just the work etiquette, that it's just in my competitive nature, which very fair but competitive. I would want to work the longer hours. I would want to. Now I just work very differently because you know, priorities change. And again, looking back, I tell, like, the generation, how we were brought up, it was like, you work, you work, you work. I mean, it's we really had lost that touch with your work, but then you need to enjoy life, because there's at some point there are so many people that retire and then boom, done, because you don't get to enjoy your life, and it's so important to enjoy your life whilst working. So yes, I think, I don't know, it's a mixture of learned in me and circumstantial, right?
So you touched on before about you love going on listings and you love valuing property, and you've got that 2% mindset, which obviously makes a big difference. So, you know, why are you worth 2% when somebody else down the road is going to charge 0.75% or 0.65%?
I know. Do you know the 2%? I probably lost at the strength of it. Like with Foxtons, you come out being like, I cannot charge any less. And having come from Malta, where 5% is the standard, is your multi-agency fee. Most properties are multi-agency. People don't negotiate the fee because you feel embarrassed to negotiate. Sole agency is 3.5%. So that was always the mindset. Now, having your own business, sometimes that decision, if I'm going to have a really nice board on the street or in the one really prominent, I might be a little bit more negotiable, or I might like think about it. I just think, right, for my situation right now, it's I'm bringing 25 years experience to that appointment, to the qualifying the buyers, to the viewing, all throughout, and I'm doing it not to just get the sale. And I think that's coming. I think that just comes across. I don't think people mind paying the extra percentage, 0.5%, 1%, if they know you're going to give the service that you say you're giving. And I think it's just stepping up and doing what you say you're going to do rather than just saying it. And I think people are really ready for a bit more of a personal approach, and not having to chase, not having to be passed on, not having to be, not having to be just another number. We're, as agents, we're obsessed with going after stock. Now I will only take a certain amount, and I'll do it really well. My marketing is top notch, and I know that there aren't many other agents that will give that. Actually, there isn't another agent that will give the service that I will give.
Okay. Well, I love what you said earlier. It's not about the sale, it's about the journey. And it's about making a difference. And I think that sums it up really nicely, what you said. I'll come on to marketing in a bit, but I just want to touch on something you spoke about earlier. Working mum, got 2 young children. I was going to say daughters, but then I'll get them wrong. So if I just say children, we should be okay. How did you manage to cope with that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that have had, you know, maybe a similar dilemma. And I know that's something you're very big in. I know you set up a women in property group as well, which I would love to discuss with you. And if there are any people in here that want to join, where can they join? And I think have you got a pet there?
Yeah, my cat's decided to come in and say hello. He does that always when it's a live session. So apologies. He's decided, yeah, I want the attention, I want the screen time. So that's another hat which I started a women in estate agency group. Women, it's on Facebook, and it's with Claire Hughes. Claire and I became friends through LinkedIn, and she had brain surgery, and 12 months later was running 12 miles. So she's just the kind of person that I click with. She literally gave herself a target of, I think it was 1 mile a month from when she's just recovered from the surgery. But she's just brilliant. And we were talking, and she's also EXP or powered by EXP, and we said there's nowhere for agents to, just women in this industry, to chat. And I found it really hard because I couldn't refer to my mum, and I didn't know. So I firstly, the first child, I said I'd go back after 4 months, and I did, and I'd literally, and no one tells you about staying up all night and having to be in the office the next day in the morning. No one tells you that you have to sometimes give them Calpol and hand them over. And it's such a hard journey when you don't have the support, the family support. And so we started a group, a Facebook group, which, yes, if any women out there just want to just get advice, just, come in and ask any question. It's more, we say it's a bit of a safe place, but it's places to talk about menopause, children, going back, mum guilt, which is huge. Now I have an au pair. It was something which I wouldn't tell people because I'd be embarrassed by it, because I felt that if someone else is looking after my children, I'm failing as a mother. Which now I look at and I say, actually, I need to tell younger women that it's okay to have somebody live with you and help you out. And she's like a big sister, and it's worked for me. And I'm not saying that this is what other women should do, but you find things that work for you. There are some things that won't work for some women. There are some which will. And this particular setup works for me. And so the juggle of it and having somewhere to go to talk about the guilt, about trying to do both, was really important. And that's why we started the group. And it's been great because we've been interviewing women that have been through this process and can share the good, the bad. We've had some really, women come on and share some really difficult stories, which they wouldn't be able to share on LinkedIn. I wouldn't share in the way I would on LinkedIn, because although I'm a bit of an open book, as you can see, but if I think I'm going to help someone, I'll share it. But there are certain things which you just want to say in a slightly safer environment. And the juggle is real. And mostly when they're sick, when you have to be there to help with homework, and the self-employed lifestyle allows me to work as hard as I want to work, because I'm a hard worker, but not under someone else's conditions. And I think that is the juggle. The juggle is trying to work within certain hours for women that have young children, and it's such a shame because we lose really good talent. I mean, there's some women that I spoke to that up to the age of 40 just were not given any promotions, and it's just because of that. And anticipation that they may not have children. So I think it's not only for women, but just flexibility within the workplace is something that I think is important. And I think this is a step where companies that do that will really retain and hold on to really good talent that would leave otherwise.
Brilliant. Will you, when you get a moment, put the group in the chat, and then we can point people to it? Presumably you want more people there.
I would love to grow the group. We are now just under, I think it's just under 600. And it's just such a supportive, fantastic community. And the interviews that we've done, and the women, Nicola Bruma, Ellie Rees, and all of the women on there just come in and just share whatever they can to help the other women in the group. And it's a really lovely open place, and it's worked out fantastically. So yes, if anybody wants to join the group, I'll put it in the comments, although I'm trying to figure out how as we speak, so you might have to talk, Stephen.
Okay, hopefully it says post a comment, and maybe you can write it, but if not, don't worry, we can do it after. Send me the link and I can put it in.
I think that's probably best. As much as I like to be really technical and put it on there, I'm not going to manage.
Okay, so changing the perception of estate agents. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Look, I'm totally agree with you. I've just done some training actually with agents in Ireland today, and it takes them 2 years to be licensed there. This is Southern Ireland rather than Northern Ireland, and I didn't know that. I've been talking for years that estate agents for the industry should be regulated. I once remember near where you work, and I used to work in West Hampstead, West End Lane. There's about 30 odd estate agents there. And every week there was one person who used to write in the Ham and High, "Oh, another estate agent's opening. It's ruining the street. It's far too many. They're a joke. They're cowboys, this, that, and the other." And then he had a gift shop, and then it closed down. I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. And it opened up a week later as an estate agent, and he got his son to run it. So if you thought you can't beat them, join them. But this is the thing. So, people just join the industry. You can be a butcher one day, a dentist one day, and literally the next day you're selling people's biggest tax-free assets. You're helping landlords maximize their investment. And this is one thing that I still can't get my head around it. And I've been doing it for 30 odd years. That what do most people think of estate agents? Well, we're down with politicians, we're down with traffic wardens, and yet we are entrusted. And then you mentioned it earlier, actually, being the trusted advisor. Estate agents are entrusted to sell people's biggest tax-free assets. They're entrusted to maximize landlords' investments, but yet most people wouldn't touch an estate agent with a barge pole. You went very quiet earlier when and you went, "I'm an estate agent," and sometimes people are ashamed to say, "I'm an estate agent," and for me, you shouldn't be ashamed. So how does NAEA Propertymark, how does the whole industry go about demonstrating? As you rightly said, there are many exceptional estate agents and letting agents throughout the UK, and maybe it's just a few cowboys that are spoiling it. But when's you most probably got more of an inside track, is RoPA going to happen, and how do we change your perception of estate agents?
So I don't think it's a priority, but it's there and it's going to happen. I don't know when, and that's the honest truth, but we need to get ready for it. And just backtracking a bit, it's if your agent, and just for our own benefit, if you study, and I know there is reluctance about being qualified because of experience. I've got 50 years experience, I've got 30 years experience, why should I be qualified? But when you do, and I go back, and every day is a learning day. When you do go over the material, I can guarantee, I would literally put a wager out there that if you don't learn something new by going through the material, I'd be shocked. And how brilliant would it be if we this conveyancing process in this country is completely archaic anyway. How brilliant would it be if we shorten this process? If the agent can go, again, with Propertymark, we've got the sales protocol kit, we've got the PIQ form. So we've got the offer form for the buyer. So we've got all these documents which you can use to help make a sale quicker, which if an agent knows, I can guarantee that most agents can't fill up the TA6 or the TA7 or the TA10, and that's a basic skill. That's something that's just, if someone calls up and asks for some advice, I'm generalizing a bit, but it's just to give the conversation the oomph it needs, because these are just little basic things. How old the houses are, just being a master of your trade and just getting that information. How incredible it would be. I'll give you a little stat. I think it's just how we are as agents, because we want to agree the sale, we want to rush. I think because of spelling mistakes, a sale is delayed by something like 3 weeks, just spelling mistakes sent to the solicitors and someone not cross-referencing with a passport. And that's how minor these things that somebody could be doing the job at 100. And right now, I think the majority are, not majority, but a lot are doing performing at 70%. So with qualification, with going over the things, with knowing your laws, with knowing what you should be doing, with topping up your CPD, with completely surrounding yourself by information that's going to make you better at your trade. I just, it is going to change the perception, because then that will fall through. Because then when you're helping people and advising them at a certain level, rather than just saying, give me your money, sign here, I want 20%, then you're just giving a lot of value to your client. And I just think that that's going to be, again, that will snowball, and that will be a natural repercussion of where we're going. And that's where the being qualified will help. It's just by being really knowledgeable about the industry you choose to be in. And if you already have that knowledge, then why resist it? Just do your qualifications, help our industry, and help better our industry, help raise the bar, help people come into this and do it properly, because if they're studying for it, then they know what they're doing, and then they're passing that on.
Okay, brilliant. So I love what you said earlier about everything. But you're spot on with us getting sale ready. So the sales protocol kit, the property information questionnaires, the offer forms, the TA6, the TA7, the TA10. All of that's going to save time, and it's going to save stress for the vendors, for the purchasers as well. Do I have to be a member of Propertymark to be able to get these sales protocol kit and the offer forms and PIQs, or are they something that's readily available on the market?
So the answer is, with the new website, I'm not sure, because if you remember, you can access lots of information that isn't available to non-members. But the sales toolkit, PIQ, and the offer form. Again, the offer form, it's another thing. I digress slightly, but having your buyers, sign, and different corporates have different ways, but just having them sign an offer and just making it, presenting that to your vendor with a signature, you really do eliminate people offering just for the sake of it, or people just it's just doing it properly. And there was a case study with Simon with the sales protocol kit with 200 agents, and it's reduced the time from offer to exchange by 50%.
Wow.
So the answer is, I need to check for you on the new website. But if not, again, becoming a member of Propertymark, the highlights and the benefits for me were, one, networking with agents like myself that really want to raise the bar in our industry. I don't think anybody has the training and the qualifications at a level that we do. It's just having all of this information migration that through COVID, that as a small business, this information, 100 pages of legislation, she manages to put them into one email. I don't know how she does that, but she's incredible. So for the value of your membership, you just get so much, plus all the discounts with TPO, with TDS, it just pays for itself. And I again, the webinars have been incredible, the power hours, and it's not just a plug. I'm so passionate about what Propertymark are doing. And if anybody went through COVID with Propertymark by their side, I can tell you that the advice was just second to none. It was incredible.
Perfect. Okay. Well, you've given loads of reasons why people should at least look you up, if not join. So thank you.
Yeah.
So let's come back and a couple more questions, and then I know you're busy, and I'm incredibly grateful for your time. So thank you.
I'm all over the country, Stephen. It's brilliant. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. I think I didn't expect, maybe naively, I didn't expect it to be so busy. But it's great because I get to see, I get to travel all over the UK and meet incredible members, incredible agents. It's just meeting the really great standard of agents.
So okay then, so what makes a good estate agent? Why are these people that you're meeting so good? What are their qualities?
I think the fact that they're coming to a conference to improve their knowledge, to listen to the latest legislation, be it sales or things, and to become members of an organization where they can go and use it on evaluation and say, I'm a member of this organization. I think that makes them good agents. The thirst for knowledge, the thirst for being the best in what you do. I'm not saying that other agents aren't good in other ways, but it's just one of the things which, once you're increasing your knowledge and putting yourself out there, then that's brilliant, isn't it? It's like agents that would come to you for training. They're trying to raise, up their.
Definitely. So what do you do to self-improve and learn? I mean, obviously you're traveling around the country, you're hearing great speakers all the time. So who has really, who's worth looking out for as a great speaker? Any good books, podcasts that you can recommend?
Yours, of course.
Oh, thank you.
I have. I've started to listen to them all, but now I do it on my walk because I used to start in lunchtime. But now I just catch up on my walks. There are so many. The 80-20 rule as a book has been really good for me because I've just realized that you have to focus on the stuff you're good at, especially when you're really busy. You can't try and be fantastic at everything, and you need to be able to delegate. And I wasn't great at delegating, and I learned that lesson by starting my own business, because now I have to find the areas where I really need to delegate to focus the stuff I'm really good in. And, like Mark Hayward, he's been in this industry. He's incredible. It's funny, but he is one of my heroes. He's just such a great guy. He knows everything about everything. And luckily with sitting, on the board, people like Jan Heitch, she's fantastic. Peter Speak, he comes on and we listen to what he has to say. And it's just learning and surrounding yourself with people that are very knowledgeable about our industry. And I think I've been fortunate enough in this year now to make those connections. And I think that has been one of the highlights of stepping into this role. You give your time, but you also get back.
Amazing. You have been an incredible guest. I am conscious of time because we've been on for about 45 minutes. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I think you're into 5 months of presidency. So I think you've got another 7 months to go. So loads more miles up and down the country. As I said, your passion, your energy, your enthusiasm is absolutely infectious. I think Propertymark are very lucky to have you as a president, beating that drum for them, sending that message. And you've been a phenomenal guest. So thank you so much for your time. And I wish you massive success with your own business as well. You know, and I can see why you're going to be a huge success with your drive, with your desire, with your hunger and your competitive nature. So
Thank you
you.
so much, Stephen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.